guys. You know, it's so weird. The same day I decided to make a video with this subject, I saw that someone else had posted a YouTube of the exact same title that I had decided on. Well, I purposely didn't watch it because I didn't want to contaminate my own knowledge with someone else's information. So I actually have no idea if we're on the same page or not. I did, however, have a brief thought about, well, if someone else has just put out this information, then why should I bother? But then I quickly realized a couple of things. First, this sort of knowledge is out there in the higher frequencies for anyone who can pick up on it. So there must have been a reason for me to share it. Plus, I've noticed that even when someone puts out similar material, each always has its own unique flavor or rationality, depending much on their personal knowledge and view of life. So, anyway, here we go. You know, for half of my life, I've heard the term ascension and fascinating stories of great beings who have ascended and left the planet. I've also read about or heard detailed descriptions of how ascension works. Some taking their body with them, others disappearing into a brilliant white or golden flash of light, either disappearing altogether or leaving a pile of ashes behind. There have been stories of those who knew of their impending ascension ahead of time and left the planet in front of their disbelieving disciples or followers. And other stories of those who simply disappeared from life and no one saw them leave. There are also stories of those being taken up into a starship or a UFO. And maybe most bizarre, cases of spontaneous combustion. Well, although not always, most of the ascension tales are tales of a great and powerful guru or teacher who finished their earthly mission and is now ready to return home. So there's certainly no absence of stories and descriptions, but are any of them true? And how do you choose? So what is ascension and what does it mean? Well, my personal understanding, and please feel free to take it or leave it, is that ascension is a cycle set in place by the absolute, the oneness, in which every 25,000 years, at the beginning of that cycle, the planet and her inhabitants emerge from creation to begin a new experience or sequence of life. Within this course of existence, about halfway through the cycle, a shift in the consciousness of humanity begins, which will eventually end in ascension, resetting the cycle into a new coming and emergence into life once again. This is how the Creator discovers itself, through the experience of each being or conscious awareness. This is also how we discover ourselves, through the progression of experiences we set into place for our awakening, of making known the unknown. And with each jump in conscious awareness, we also jump into a more progressive or advantageous timeline. This ascension cycle never ends. It only matures. With each cycle comes expansion and transformation. So, for a third density being, the ascension process is the course of conscious awareness and the intent behind that awareness to know itself. Just as Source itself is doing through each of us, the more knowledge or love a being brings into its perception through their own purpose and discovery, the higher the light frequency of the cellular structure, altering the DNA and transmuting the body from a carbon-based structure into a more crystalline-based structure. As the body's frequency increases, the being or individual raises not only in awareness, but in light vibration, bringing it closer to God or Source. This is why we often hear a human referred to as a child of Source, and Ascension as going home, elevating through the vibrational levels until reaching a level of pure light. So, how would humanity as a whole ascend? Through choice. The individual choosing of each being, of each insect, rock, or human, eventually building the new earth, as well as establishing the direction of the old earth. Ascension happens when one chooses love over judgment or the need for control. You know, that person who just always has to be right. The new earth is born from this split between those who choose power and those who choose love. This is why mankind is so divided right now. It had to be this way. I know it's challenging to see that what is happening on our world as perfect, but from this perspective, it is. Now, here's what actually blew my mind when I learned it. Those who are choosing to remain in duality are actually assisting us to ascend. How? Well, in order for an ascension to take place of one being or of an entire civilization, there must be an equal amount of negative energy as positive energy. As physics shows us, for every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. For example, when we jump, we push on the ground, and whatever force we use to push will be equal to the height that we jump. Firing a gun, the bullet flies forward and the gun kicks backwards. In order for an ascension to take place, there must be an equal and opposite energy of descension. This means that for those ascending into light, it takes an equal amount of darkness for this to happen. This is why things are so dark in the world right now. The more who awaken into the light, the stronger the darkness will become. Ascension is a powerful expansion of light. The explosion that sends the bullet speeding from the gun. The kick is the darkness reacting to that explosion of light. This is what will split into the new earth. It doesn't necessarily take the same amount of people, of individuals. It takes the same amount of energy, equal and opposite. So in order for those of love to ascend, there must be those of the opposite, creating darkness. So what is the opposite of love? Would it be evil? Or would it be fear? Or maybe apathy? You know, a complete indifference to another's welfare. This is why those who dominate Earth can see humans as cattle with no regard for their survival. The Earth itself is ascending, and our job is to hold a frequency equal or above that ascending vibration, that rise in frequency. Those beings who have chosen to stay in duality and embrace the darkness, surprisingly, may have purposely chosen that path in order to learn sympathy or compassion for themselves and for others. Presently, there are many souls who are choosing, consciously or unconsciously, to stay in duality in order to assist in the ascension as a means of equalizing the opposing energy to that of the love and the light that is currently flooding the planet. So it may sound strange, but those friends and family members who blindly lined up for the, are in truth our heroes, knowingly or unknowingly, and should be thanked. Why do I say that? Well, just as you, before coming into your human body, signed up for a journey of ascension, they signed up for a journey of descension. And not because they're bad or evil spirits, but because they wanted to be here for the ascension just as much as you did. And this was the choice that they chose for their own soul's expansion. They were aware that it would take a collective of souls who would willingly volunteer to stay behind on the old earth, knowingly delaying their own ascension by deliberately staying on the doomed planet, run by the evil empire, so to speak. Those loved ones or friends that we have judged or given up on are actually to be revered for the difficult road they've selected, for their own experience through this extraordinary planetary shift from an imprisoned humanity into the freedom of the higher realms. This is a planet of duality, and we couldn't do this without them. It is therefore essential for light workers and starseeds to remember that we all have within us both the darkness and the light. The darkness is equal in all of us. This means that those who have chosen wickedness or corruption also have the light within them. Equally, those who have chosen a journey of light also possess within them darkness, or the absence of light. Furthermore, the beings who have designated themselves to be what they consider beings of light and love, and therefore beyond judgment, can unconsciously fall prey to that same failing through their denial and an unintentional need to completely detach themselves from anything negative, causing them to, in essence, become more vulnerable to what they're hoping to escape. Now, if this all seems too obscure, all we have to remember is that in order to come here into the physical, we had to possess both darkness and light. And our journey as a human is to eventually integrate both sides into a being of love and kindness. So how does one ascend? Through love, through integration and intention, through allowing the suffering to become a divine path and the catalyst that triggers the self-realization of love as the essence of all, including that which we see as negative or wrong in order for a global civilization to ascend. Once the separation of those seeking the light and those seeking the dark has been selected, the energetic split can occur, and the two opposing sides can begin to pull away. Just as a cell divides into two, the earth, through the opposition of frequencies, does the same. And which earth you will remain upon is designated by your own frequency match. You know, the new earth is not a place, it is a frequency. If you have chosen to attend only to your own needs, you will stay on the old earth. If you've chosen instead to focus on kindness and love toward others, this new 5D earth will become your home. Yay! So, this is one of the last great tests for a light worker. Can you recognize yourself in the darkness as well as in the light? You, difference maker, can you, in the midst of all the chaos, remember who you are? Will you be able to recognize the illusion and remain calm? In the middle of all the political fighting, will you, Starseed, remember your light? Can and will you remind yourself in the middle of the mess, that this darkness is what is allowing the world to shift, and have compassion for those lost in the illusion, and be able to help and guide them through their fears? This, beautiful being, is why you came. A big warm hug to you all. Bye-bye.